Hi fam, how are you all doing? Welcome back to my channel. It's Intentional Favor. If you are new here, thank you so much for clicking to watch this video. I hope you will get value out of it, and please don't make it your last time. Why not click on the subscribe button? Also turn on your notification bell so that you get notified whenever I upload new videos. And to all my amazing returning subscribers, I love you guys so much. Thanks for always coming back to watch my videos. So guys, in today's video, as you must have seen from the title, I'm here to share with you guys how best to discipline children in the United Kingdom or abroad generally. This video might be very helpful for immigrants, people that are not from westernized countries. Probably you are from Africa or you are from Asia and you are living in a western country like the United Kingdom or wherever you are. I believe that this video will be very helpful for you. This is one question that I get asked a lot as a social worker. By the way, if you are new here, yes, I'm a registered social worker in the United Kingdom, England to be specific. And I get asked this question a couple of times because when parents, especially migrants, come to the UK, one of the things among many advice that people give them, as a matter of fact, one of the top on the list is that they should be wary of social services, be aware of social workers. They will take your child away, but I'm not here to discuss all of that. But this tells you how important it is or how fearful people are of social services and are afraid of losing their child to social services or to the government. And one of the ways that, Africans or migrants, Asians or wherever they are from, one of the things they struggle with most of the time is how best to discipline their kids, because it seems that Africans, most times the case is about them hitting their child or doing this. Their child goes to tell the teacher that my mom beats me, my mom uses belts, or my dad uses belts on me. Most times this is actually the case with migrants or African parents. But do not worry, because in today's video I'm going to share with you the best ways that you can discipline your children in the United Kingdom from a social worker's point of view. Let me leave this quick disclaimer that everything I'll be sharing in this video, they are based on my experiences as a social worker and my personal experiences as a mom, as an aunt, as a resident in the UK for almost 4 years, and of course, my personal experience or belief as a child of God. First thing I would say is that you need to understand your child, okay? I'll be sharing so many tips or giving some examples, but underneath all this, you as a mom, you as a dad, you as an aunt and uncle, as an individual, you need to understand the child that you want to discipline, okay? It's very, very important, because what works for child A might not work for child B. Everybody is unique. We are all different, okay? But you need to understand your child, you need to understand their personality. That way, it's going to give you an understanding of how best you can discipline them, okay? So it's very, very important that you understand your child, basically. Then the next thing I would say is that it's very important that you start to instill discipline on time. A lot of parents make this mistake, okay? They take it easy on their kids, they pamper their kids, as some people will say, they spoil the kids. The kids are now used to getting spoiled. They are very used to having it their way. Whatever they say works for them, okay? If they say no, mom and dad respects that, and these kids have grown to become used to that, and all of a sudden, you want to change that. It will take a lot. So as a parent, you actually need to accept the fact that you've made a mistake, okay? And it will not be easy on this child to try to start instilling certain levels of discipline in his or her life. And please give that child a break, okay? Because you have already laid a foundation. You have already taught this child he can have it his way, she can have it her way, and all of a sudden you want to change it. We all know that we react differently to change. So don't expect that a child that you have spoiled, you've pampered a lot, always having his or her way, all of a sudden you want to change that. Don't expect that child to go easy on you. No. And with that, I would say accept that you are wrong and take it easy on that child. Very important, because when you try to force it, it will usually backfire, okay? So that's why if you have not already spoiled your child, it's best that you start early. I remember months ago on this channel when my baby was just 2 months old, I made a video telling you guys that I've started to discipline him. So when I mean that, of course, sometimes when we hear discipline, especially as Africans, we usually think of maybe punishment, instilling pain or whatever. No, we are going to talk about all of that in this video. But my baby was just 2 months. I already knew that I won't be able to cope. It was already stressing me as a mom. My baby wouldn't take from the breast. Okay, he doesn't even attempt to. All right, and I gave him till 1 month. Okay, you are still a baby. You are 4 weeks, 3 weeks. I decided that once you are 2 months old, I'm going to try and enforce you to take from the breast. Okay, and of course, I started it. And you might want to know, to be honest with you guys, no cap. Okay, my baby doesn't even like bottles anymore. I can't remember the last time I pumped. My baby will be 5 weeks, 5 months next week or thereabout. Yeah, in a week's time, my baby is going to be turning 5 months. And since he turned 3 months, I don't pump again, okay? Because, and that's the thing about gradually stopping it. Now, I know that when my baby was few weeks old, I was spoiling him. I didn't care. I was going all out for him, pumping. I didn't care. I was happy to do that for him. But they started telling on me, and I know that if I continue with this and this boy gets so used to this, it will be difficult for me to stop. So all I did was to start. When I started, I didn't go so hard on him. All I do is that sometimes I find ways to give it to him. He wouldn't, but when he gets hungry, he will have no choice. He will come. And sometimes, because he has done so well, I will try sometimes. I was mixing it. I was giving him bottles still and also giving him breast, until he got so used to it that I stopped bottles at all. So if you have already spoiled your baby, it's best that you actually take it slowly, okay? And you will definitely get there. So if you start on time, you will definitely achieve a good result, okay? I'm glad I did that because it was beginning to stress me out as a person. You know, the pumping, washing bottles every day and all of that. It was not easy for me. Waking up at night, having to go and warm milk instead of me to just carry my baby and just breastfeed him. It's so easy. And since I started that, this improved my mental health a great deal. So that's just a tip for you. You need to start early. If you have, maybe you are just having your child or your child is still a baby, please, whatever you know you won't tolerate as a mom, don't even start it in the first instance, because kids, they know all of this. And once you start, it might be difficult for you to stop. Moving on to the next point, I'll say be aware that kids will always push boundaries. They will definitely, I promise you that kids will always push boundaries. Teenagers, whoever, once this person is a child, okay, they will definitely push boundaries, and you need to be aware of this. And being aware of this, what you have to do, your response to your awareness of that is that you need to stand your ground. Okay, it's so interesting how sometimes between the words yes and no, kids tend to learn the word no first. When you tell them anything, they say no. Okay, they're just saying it. Sometimes it's just a response. Even if you tell them, do you want to eat? No, we know they want to eat. Okay, but you see that no is more like resistance. Kids will always push boundaries. That's how they are. They will, maybe should I say, they are built to do that. Okay, so when you know that, maintain your ground. Don't let your kids push you here and there. I know you are a mom. I know you have that heart of a mother. But behind it, also have the interest of this child at heart, that it's best for both of you. Because sometimes you find out that kids that are already spoiled, who are doing all of this, it will come back to you. It will tell on you. You'll be stressed. And you need to be physically, mentally, otherwise healthy, you know, for your baby or for your children, for you to take care of them. All right. So you don't want anything stressing you. You don't want the stress from work to be there. Then your kids, even at home, they're also stressing you. So to avoid that, make sure that you maintain your ground. Make sure that you start early. There should be rules in code. These are the acceptable behaviors in the house and unacceptable behaviors. Your kids need to know this. Let them know what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Even when they know it, like I said, they will still push the boundaries, but you need to stand your ground. When you tell your child no, stand on that no. Don't let them manipulate you. Kids can manipulate. They start crying, they start wailing, they start doing certain things. As far as you are aware that you have done basic things, okay, and that's what I'll talk about later on. You've done necessary things. I'll give an example quickly. a child is crying, okay, and this baby maybe wants ice cream, for instance, and you know that this child has had loads of chocolates and sweets and of course sugars, they are not good for his or her health, and you say no, you are not having more ice creams or more chocolates today, wait till tomorrow, and this child starts crying. Now, chocolate is not food. The important thing is to make sure that you have actually fed this child, you have given him or her food. Yes, you have given him or her food. It's not like he or she is hungry and this child is crying, okay? You've done your best, let them cry. But don't leave them to cry for that long, I must say, because the more they cry, it might result to headache or something. You should also, as a parent, tell them who is in charge, sort of, and call them to order. Enough of that crying. You have cried enough and you are not going to have it. Sometimes what parents tend to do is that when the child cries, okay, you are going to have half. But this child already had loads earlier, and that is the reason you said you are having no more. Now you are bending the rules to accommodate this child. That child, I promise you, it's taking note of that. Next time it happens, this child might even throw himself into the fire just to get your attention, for you to bend the rules again and give it to him. I know these things I'm saying, they sound basic, but I believe that sometimes we as parents, we need to be constantly reminded of these things, okay? You need to be reminded, and that's why I'm taking my time to explain all of this. Make sure you maintain your ground as a parent. Don't let your kids, move you up and down. Maintain the rules, okay? Don't bend it for any reason. Like I said, as far as you have done the necessary thing, it's not like you are, sometimes in Africa, then our parents, they might tend to, as punishment, you are not going to eat tonight. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. No. Make sure that you feed your kids very well. Treats are different from foods, okay? But we'll get to that subsequently in this video. The next point I'm going to make, which I might dwell more on in this video, is that you should focus more on reinforcement than on punishment. I'll say that again. Let your emphasis be more on reinforcement rather than punishment. This is one mistake that probably African parents make a lot, or parents generally. We tend to react. That is punishment when something has happened, okay? But I'll advise you as a parent, especially in this country, in case you've not been practicing it before, focus more on reinforcement, okay? Reinforcement, of course, I'm not going to go into psychology of it, positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment. You can go and read up this. That can also help you, because as parents, you need information. Go and read up on this and all the examples, but I'll try my best in this video to give some examples, okay? What do I mean by focusing more on reinforcement? For instance, when you talk about positive reinforcement, there is positive and negative one. Positive, there is an addition, okay? Now, your child behaves well, okay? You guys went out, this child behaved so well at the party, didn't cause any trouble, this child was well behaved, okay? Reinforcement is that you should actually reward that behavior. Oh, wow, baby girl, you did so well today. Oh, kudos to you. It must not necessarily even be you giving them something. Those words, okay, they go a long way. They mean so much to kids. Give me a high five. You've done a very good job. Because you did this, I'm going to give you this. Reward that positive behavior, because like I said, don't focus more on punishment, which is you punishing a negative behavior or reacting to negative behavior. React more to the positive behaviors of your kids rather than just reacting to their negative behaviors. It will go a long way when it comes to disciplining your children, raising them, and making sure that they are well behaved, okay? Yes, reward those positive behaviors, not only when this child now goes to a party, throws tantrums, does a lot of things, causes trouble or enters into trouble, and then when you come back home, I'm going to seize your iPad. Maybe you were expecting that the first advice I will give is for you to withdraw, take away, that negative punishment, take away their iPad from them, take away this from them, take away that from them. We all know that, but that's not the major thing. For me, the most important is reinforcement. Reinforcement, rewarding positive behaviors before talking about negative behaviors. If you start all of this on time, I believe it will go a long way. And you will see the impact of this when I'll discuss another topic or a topic or something else I'll talk about in this video, okay? Why you need to reward positive behaviors. Reward it. Tell them they are good. Tell them you are proud of them. When they do something nice, reward it. You might not necessarily give them something. You don't have to be rich to do this. Your words go a long way in helping your child to well behave. This tells this child, oh, my mom loves this, and look at what I got because I did it. Next time, this child will do it. And that way, the negative behavior will be avoided. Or because you went to a party and you were well behaved, mom rewarded that. That child will not do the negative one of throwing tantrums or causing troubles or entering into troubles at a party. That's very, very important. Psychologists will tell you that even punishment, they have their side effects. Sometimes behaviors that are punished, you find out that they don't entirely go away. You just suppress them. Oh, because mommy will punish me because I was naughty, because I did this at the party, they just suppress it. Then when you are not there, they now went out with an uncle or their dad or whoever else. They do that because mom is not there. That's what punishment will do. That's why your emphasis should be on reinforcement. Reward positive behaviors. Reward positive behaviors. And even when it has gotten, let's say your kids are already spoiled, okay, or you are hearing this and now they've done something bad, there is also an aspect of negative reinforcement. Okay, so you have put the positive the negative punishment. For instance, you took away their iPad or you reduced their screen time. Okay, that is negative punishment. You are removing something, reduce their screen time. Okay, now you find out that some parents will now dwell on this. When this child now behaves well, you reduce screen time, for instance, because this child was not well behaved. This child now behaved well. Reinforcement. Remember, negative reinforcement. What do? Make sure that you, maybe if, for instance, that their screen time, something happens, maybe they have curfew of maybe, or screen time, they have screen time or something, you remove it, you withdraw from it, like remove some levels to that punishment that already exists. The screen time, maybe by now you are either adding to it or removing it, whatever it is, but focus on rewarding it. Even when there is a punishment already in place and you see that this child is well behaved, you can as well put in positive reinforcement. Congratulate them, give them high five, tell them they did a good job and all of that. This will actually help your kids because everything is about psychology. You might not believe it, but a lot goes on in the brains of children. Yeah, and kids will always push boundaries. They will throw tantrums. They will do a lot of things, but try early. So start early, okay, and learn all of this. So instead of using physical chastisement, which in this case is a type of positive punishment, you hit the child, you beat the child, you spank the child, and all of that. Instead of you doing all of that, it's best that you rather use negative punishment. Take something away from them. If the child is already spoiled, if the child is already misbehaving, okay, maybe you now came here, the kids are going wild, they are doing this and that, and you don't know what to do. You might be tempted to go your African way and all of that to hit the child. Please, by all means, I beg you, suppress that urge to hit your child. Suppress it. I'll tell you why. In as much as in England, okay, for instance, physical chastisement, that spanking a child, is not a criminal act. In Scotland, it is, in case you are wondering. In as much as it's only in Scotland that we know that spanking a child is criminal, okay, is an offense for you to spank a child. You are in England, for instance, spanking a child is not a problem. Good and fine. But do you know something that will happen, that can happen? I give you this, I'm telling you this as a professional, as a social worker. If your child goes to school and says, oh, my mom beats me, okay, now I know I always advise people when they ask me, the question is there a mark? If there is no mark, okay, there is no, it cannot be taken as a criminal offense and all of that. Calm down, just explain everything. And some people tend denying it, whether or not it's true. They'll just say, no, I never hit the child, but this child said you hit him or her. Okay, the thing is that when a teacher hears that their parents hit them, the next reaction, safeguarding is everybody's business. They are going to report it to social services. Social services will get involved and all of that. I tell you, you yourself and that child, you are already stressing yourselves. That should be that shouldn't happen in the first instance. Okay, yes, spanking a child is okay, and you spank the child, and sometimes some of these kids, they might blow it out of proportion. And should I tell you, you never can tell who your kids' teachers are. You never can tell if this person is a racist or if this person is unconsciously biased towards Africans because they know that Africans, they hit their kids with belts. And once they hear that, automatically they are just reasoning, oh my gosh, this could be what is happening to this child. If there's any mark they see on a child, maybe I've heard cases whereby it's actually a scar from home, for instance, from Nigeria, and they now see it, they now examine the child's body, they start putting one and two together and say maybe it's from hitting this child that they got this scar, even though you know this scar didn't happen in this country and this scar wasn't as a result of you hitting the child. They already put one and two together, and at the end of the day, I bet you in such cases your child will not be taken away from you. There's no reason for that, but we're not talking about removal of children and all of that. We'll talk about that in another video, probably a live video, which I hope to do very soon. Okay, let's say that doesn't end up in that, but do you know the stress of you getting that call? You can answer the question from social services. You start panicking. Some people tell me, I've not slept for the past 2 days because social workers will visit me tomorrow. You are already being stressed. And another thing, professionals, people going to school to talk to your children, you don't have control over the questions they ask your kids. As a professional, you shouldn't ask a child what we call leading questions. Does a mommy beat you? There are some questions we call leading questions. It should be open-ended. Let the child talk and not you put words in their mouth. Professionals shouldn't do that. But you have no control over the professional that talks to your children, and you don't know the questions that this professional will ask your children. You don't know how the kids will perceive the questions or the understanding of the questions, and then they say what they shouldn't say or they say what is not true simply because they perceive the questions in a different light. And that's how some kids go ahead and say that, yeah, my mom beats me with belt, my dad beats me with belt, whereby it's not the case. Parents, the mom and dad don't do that. But it's about that situation whereby the kids have been asked certain questions in a way, and maybe they just ask them, does your mom beat you? Yes. The kids just said yes. Not even whether the answer should be no, but maybe under pressure or not knowing what to say, said yes. The child has said it too. And you know in this country, is their word versus yours. What your child says is actually held in utmost importance or priority than what you say. That's why you shouldn't even let that happen. So always resist the urge to hit or spank your child, even though you know you are living in England and it's not an offense for you to spank your child. You can just spank them. You never can tell what will happen when you are not there and you have no control over that. That's why I always encourage people, please, as much as possible, don't do it. So this video is getting long already. I'm going to round off with this point, and that is be friends with your children. I said I would talk about this earlier when I was talking about the importance of positive reinforcement. Reward positive behaviors. Don't wait until negative for you to react. Also react to positive behaviors. Be friends with your children. Talk to your children. Be that kind of parent that your child can come to you and ask you questions. Yes, be that kind of parent that your child can actually come and ask you questions. Talk to them. Know what is in their mind. Because some things happen in this country. I think I said it where I went to a function where I talked. If you watch that video, you might have heard me say it. And I'm still saying it because that's one advice of late that I found that is very important for migrants, especially in this country. Okay, make sure that you talk to your kids. Talk to them. People generally, maybe in this country, in Western world, sometimes they can be lonely. And you find out that every given opportunity, they start talking. You see them, they are just telling you everything about them. Not that they love you so much, but they've been more like waiting to see opportunity to talk. Don't let your child or your children be in such situation. You don't know how they feel. You don't ask them how do they feel, how was their day, what's happening. And then something now happens in school and it's a teacher or a professional that asks this question. And this is an opportunity for this child to open up and start talking. Take into consideration the wishes and feelings of your child. As professionals, when we go to see children, one thing we obtain is their wishes and feelings. We do some activities for us to obtain the wishes and feelings of that child. And when we ask, we get their wishes and their feelings. But you find out that sometimes parents do not care about the wishes and feelings of their children. Then they tell these wishes and feelings to professionals. And then in that way, professional will be like, oh my gosh, this child is going through this and this is happening. No, ask them what they want. How do they feel about this? Which brings me to another point. Okay, sometimes as Africans and children generally in this country or wherever, I heard someone say that my child wasn't like this until he came into this country. You tell them, don't do that. The next question that the child will ask you is, why? Personally, as an African auntie, when I first came into this country, I hated that question. And the reaction we know as Africans will always be, don't you dare ask me why. How dare you ask me why? Do what I said. But I'm telling you now, from me to you, answer that question. If they ask you why, maybe not in that manner, okay, not in that heated, depending on the situation, okay, maybe you are very angry. Don't answer that question then, but take note of it. I'll give an example. You told your child wants to go to a party or wants to do something. I say, no, you are not going for that party. You as a parent have your reasons. This child might not understand this. And this child is very innocent. Well, meaning everybody is going for this party. Everybody is doing this. Everybody is celebrating this occasion. Okay. And you believe maybe your religious beliefs, your family, whatever. You don't do that. Okay. You don't celebrate this. You don't do this. And everybody is doing it. And you are telling this child, no, you are not going to do it. And the child asks you why. And you say, I've told you, you are not going. Come on. No, let them know why. Because when you don't, it causes conflict in their head. Why is my mom saying I should not do this? My friends, everybody is doing. And this can lead to so many things. This child can become a rebel. We rebel against you, go behind you, do some things and start, hating you or something. We heard a story about a child that a teenager that was taken away from parents. They went to court. This child, because the father, for instance, wouldn't want him to be anything rather than a medical doctor. And this child doesn't like this. And this child, the slightest opportunity he got, what did he do? He started speaking. I don't want to be a doctor, but my father wants me to be, and all of that. Even if you know what is best for your child, right? There are ways you instill this in them. Don't put it to them in a forceful way. You must do this. Talk to them. Explain things to them. Answer that question, why? Take this from, if you didn't take anything away, take this away from this video. When your child asks you why, you might not be ready to answer that question, or maybe they asked it in a confrontational way, and the African in you are boiling and you are wondering, why will you ask me that question? The best thing at that moment, keep quiet. Be silent, okay? But take note that your child asks you why. In a serene, like at a very cool time, everybody is happy, call your child and say to them, the other day, I told you not to do this and you asked me why. Okay, I'm going to tell you why. But my son, call them by their name, whatever you call them. Bobo, you shouldn't have approached it that way. I'm going to give you why. But that was so talk to your kids. You should. That's why I said the first thing, understand your kids. Take note of the why that your kids ask you of. Look for a better atmosphere or time. Call your children and give them the why. Your kids deserve to know the why. Especially in a country like this. You see some people advocating that sometimes you instill certain things on the child. The child has no say over it. People are advocating. You circumcise your child. The child might grow up and not like it. You pierce the ear of your child. The child might grow up not like. But you as parents, you know what is best for your child, and you are doing all of that. This child is now asking you that same question, why? If not, some of them will have some identity issues when they grow up. If you don't explain to them why you are like this. Their friends on Sundays, for instance, go to play football. And you are telling them, you are not going to play football on Sundays, you are going to church. And you didn't explain to this child the importance of going to church. You didn't even tell them about the importance of being a Christian and make them love being a Christian. And you are in a country whereby Christianity is, not a thing anymore at such, okay, or religion generally, yeah, and you live in such country and you leave your child hanging, that child might grow up to have identity issues. And that's why sometimes kids grow up and they become wayward. What you taught them from home in Nigeria, they were good, they came here because they see other people are going the opposite way. They need to know why they are going the other way. Very, very important. Like I said, this video is long enough, but I enjoyed talking to you guys about this. I enjoyed speaking about this. If you have further questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. But before you go, hope you're not forgetting to do something important. Give this video a thumbs up, like this video. When you do, YouTube will recommend it to more people. Okay, also subscribe to the channel if you have not, and share this video. Very, very important. If you know any platform where you have immigrants, someone you know that might need this, there is love in sharing. Share this video with as many people you think that might be needing it, and I'll be seeing you guys in my next one. Until then, stay blessed, remain intentional, and take good care of yourselves. Bye.